Guatemala, the heart of the Maya world. Guatemala is a land where history, culture, and natural wonder converge in ways few other countries can claim. At first glance, it is a small nation in Central America, but within its borders lies a remarkable variety of landscapes, peoples, and traditions. It is often called the land of eternal spring for its mild climate, but it is just as much the land of volcanoes and jungles, of bustling markets and ancient ruins, of living traditions that trace back thousands of years. For many around the world, Guatemala is synonymous with the Maya civilization. Long before Europeans arrived, this land was home to one of the most sophisticated pre-Columbian cultures, a people who built monumental cities, developed complex calendars, and contributed innovations in mathematics and astronomy. And while the great Maya cities eventually fell into ruin, the Maya people never disappeared. Today, they remain a vital part of Guatemala's national identity, carrying forward languages, clothing, beliefs, and art forms that connect the modern country to its ancient roots. A land of mountains, jungles, and volcanoes. Guatemala is geographically diverse, squeezed between two oceans yet filled with mountain ranges that make travel dramatic and, at times, difficult. To the south, the Sierra Madre de Chiapas stretches across the country, crowned by more than 20 volcanoes. Tajumulco, at 4,220 meters, is the tallest peak in Central America, while Fuego, Pacaya, and Santiaguito are active volcanoes that regularly remind Guatemalans of their fiery power. Fuego is especially known for frequent eruptions, its ash often visible from Guatemala City. The highlands give way to fertile valleys, where coffee plantations thrive in the volcanic soil. To the north lies Petén, a vast region of tropical forest that shelters jaguars, toucans, and spider monkeys. This dense jungle also hides the ruins of ancient Maya cities, some, like El Mirador, so large they are still only partially uncovered. The country is equally defined by its lakes and rivers. Lake Atitlan, formed in a volcanic crater, is considered one of the most beautiful lakes on Earth. Its blue waters, framed by 3 volcanoes, attract travelers, artists, and spiritual seekers alike. In contrast, Lake Izabal, the largest in Guatemala, stretches out like an inland sea and feeds the Rio Dulce, a river corridor that connects the highlands to the Caribbean coast. Along this river, cliffs, mangroves, and fortresses from the colonial era tell their own story. Biodiversity in Guatemala is astonishing. More than 700 bird species, hundreds of orchids, and endangered animals like the Baird's tapir live here. The resplendent quetzal, with its emerald plumage and long tail feathers, is both a symbol of freedom and the national bird, so revered that the country's currency is named after it. A people rooted in tradition. With over 17 million people, Guatemala is Central America's most populous country, and it grows faster than almost anywhere else in the Western Hemisphere. Its population is a mosaic, about 40% identify as indigenous, primarily Maya, another 40% are mestizo, of mixed indigenous and European descent, the rest include whites, Garifuna communities of African and Carib origin, as well as smaller groups of Middle Eastern and Asian heritage. Language is one of the most striking markers of identity. While Spanish is the official language, 21 Mayan languages are spoken across the country, each tied to a specific region and culture. In rural towns, conversations are carried out in Kitch, Keki, or Mam, while coastal communities might speak Garifuna. The survival of these languages reflects the resilience of indigenous culture in the face of centuries of colonization and modernization. Traditional clothing is another vivid expression of identity. In many Mayan towns, women still wear huipiles, woven blouses decorated with intricate geometric or floral designs, each style signaling a specific village. The weaving techniques, passed down for generations, are considered sacred and are often tied to Mayan cosmology. Religion in Guatemala is equally complex. While Catholicism dominates, it is often blended with Mayan spiritual practices. In the highlands, offerings of flowers, incense, or even chickens may be made to deities or spirits at sacred sites. Festivals are some of the most colorful in Latin America. Antigua's Holy Week processions, where streets are lined with elaborate carpets of colored sawdust and flowers, are recognized worldwide. Meanwhile, the kite festival of Santiago Zacatepeques on All Saints' Day sends massive, brightly decorated kites soaring into the sky as a way of honoring the dead. Food tells another story of cultural continuity. Corn, beans, and chilies, the same staples cultivated by the Maya, remain central to the Guatemalan diet. Tamales come in dozens of varieties, wrapped in banana leaves or corn husks, filled with meats, vegetables, or sweet ingredients. Pipián, a thick, spicy stew, and jocan, made with green vegetables and herbs, are beloved traditional dishes. And chocolate, first cultivated by the Maya, still holds a special place in the cuisine. A history of splendor and struggle. The ancient Maya left behind cities whose scale and sophistication rival those of Egypt and Mesopotamia. Tikal, perhaps the most famous, flourished between 200 and 900 CE and is today a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Its towering temples rise above the jungle canopy, silent witnesses to a once great civilization. Spanish conquistadors arrived in 1524, led by Pedro de Alvarado, and quickly subdued the region. Colonial Guatemala became an important part of Spain's empire, its indigenous population forced into labor, its land reorganized for European exploitation. The Spanish also introduced Catholicism, though it blended with local traditions rather than erasing them. Independence came in 1821, but stability was elusive. The country briefly joined Mexico, then became part of the short-lived United Provinces of Central America before finally establishing itself as a republic in 1839. The 19th and 20th centuries saw cycles of authoritarian rule, reformist governments, and foreign intervention. One of the most defining moments came in 1954, when a CIA-backed coup ousted President Jacobo Arbenz, whose land reform policies threatened the interests of the powerful United Fruit Company. The coup plunged Guatemala into decades of instability and sparked a brutal 36-year civil war. This conflict, which ended only in 1996, left more than 200,000 people dead or missing, most of them indigenous civilians. Today, the memory of this violence remains an open wound, shaping politics and society alike. The modern nation. Guatemala's economy still leans heavily on agriculture. Coffee, bananas, sugar, and cardamom are major exports, while textiles, handicrafts, and tourism also play key roles. Petin's Maya ruins, Lake Atitlan's beauty, and Antigua's colonial charm draw visitors from across the globe. Guatemala is also one of the world's main producers of jade, once considered sacred by the Maya and still used in jewelry and art today. Yet challenges remain. Poverty affects nearly half the population, and inequality is among the highest in Latin America. Indigenous communities, in particular, often lack access to healthcare, education, and economic opportunity. These hardships, combined with political instability and violence, drive many Guatemalans to migrate northward, especially to the United States. Remittances from abroad now account for a significant share of the national economy. On the international stage, Guatemala maintains a unique diplomatic profile. It is one of only 22 countries that officially recognize Taiwan, a partnership that has brought investments and aid. The United States remains its largest trading partner, while ties with neighboring El Salvador and Honduras are close, shaped by shared history and challenges in the so-called Northern Triangle of Central America. A country of resilience and continuity. To understand Guatemala is to see both beauty and hardship, ancient glory and modern struggle. It is a country where towering volcanoes overlook fertile valleys, where jungle temples whisper of past civilizations, and where indigenous markets overflow with colors and voices from a heritage that refuses to fade. Despite centuries of conquest, exploitation, and conflict, the people of Guatemala remain deeply connected to their roots. Their resilience has preserved traditions that make the country one of the most culturally vibrant in the Americas. A country of resilience and continuity. To understand Guatemala is to see both beauty and hardship, ancient glory and modern struggle. It is a country where towering volcanoes overlook fertile valleys, where jungle temples whisper of past civilizations, and where indigenous markets overflow with colors and voices from a heritage that refuses to fade. Despite centuries of conquest, exploitation, and conflict, the people of Guatemala remain deeply connected to their roots. Their resilience has preserved traditions that make the country one of the most culturally vibrant in the Americas. In its landscapes, languages, and living customs, Guatemala is not just a reminder of the Maya past, it is proof that the Maya spirit endures.